All right, y'all, welcome back to the Complete Husband's Handbook podcast. My name is Daniel, and today we're going to cover something that's probably a little heavy for most people, and it's why don't men talk about their feelings? Now, as this is February and it's the month of love, a lot of people are focused on how they feel, how they think, how they act, their relationships, and things like that. And I know a lot of women tend to say that, why don't men talk about their feelings? Why doesn't he tell me how he feels about things? And I'm going to be honest with y'all, it's because it's how we were basically brought up. You know, in TV shows and movies and music, men aren't supposed to talk about their feelings. Unless it's to have sex, basically. Let's be honest here. But if we take a deeper dive outside of the Hollywood stereotypes and the media and the songs, there are certain, I'd have to say about 4 general rules as to why men don't talk about their feelings. So we're going to talk about that today, and hopefully it'll open the floor up for a bit more understanding and a bit more grace to be given to us men who are, just trying to make it work. I mean, let's be honest here. Emotions are horrible at the best of times. So let's take this with a bit of grace and a bit of understanding. Number 1, there's always the Sunday school answers every time us men bring up something. And we get it from our wives, we get it from our friends, we get it from our whoever else we're talking to. And usually it's, somebody has it worse, or just be grateful for what you have. Yes, those are good platitudes, I guess. And yeah, we should be grateful. And yes, there's always someone who has it worse. But that's not the point. These platitudes don't work. They've never worked. They're not designed to work. They're political nothings, basically. To quote a modern vernacular, they're nothing burger. They're just taking up random space because the person who's saying them doesn't know what they're talking about. But when a man reaches out, he wants an ear to listen, not judgment. In the original Ninja Turtles movie, Splinter said, the road to inner peace begins with a friendly ear. I mean, we men deal with a lot of crap. And women do too, don't get me wrong. But we men deal with quite a bit. And we hold a lot of it in. And so when we reach out, those singular moments when we do, we don't need judgment. We don't need someone to say anything other than what's on your mind. And then just shut the hell up and listen. And you'll be surprised how much us men will come back to you and talk to you again. Probably the thing I heard a lot as a kid is, well, just don't get emotional. I heard that from teachers, both in my school, at church, But men have feelings too. And they're not just the heavy emotions or the most, I guess, violent ones like anger, rage, sadness. We feel as deeply as women do. We've just been programmed to never show them. We're not supposed to smile. We're not supposed to nod. We're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to do any of that. Because we, quote unquote, can't get emotional. We bottle up a lot of it. And sadly, it turns to one of 2 things. Either we bottle it so much that it ends up being an explosion, or it poisons us from the inside out and we're full of resentment. And that's where the angry old man comes from. He feels nobody gives a damn about him, nobody wants to listen to him, nobody cares about him, so that festers like a cancer. And it starts at an early age. So, kind of keep that in mind. And again, this will be a recurring theme, but whenever someone reaches out to you, be it man or woman, shut up and listen. Sit there. It doesn't cost anything to listen. Maybe a little bit of time. I used to take people out to eat, listen to them talk, and I share stuff too. And we both left edified. When my wife and I were first dating, we'd go out and eat and just talk about stuff. Work, school, projects we were on, family drama, just stupid crap. But, we do that same thing now, where something happens in her side of the family, we'll talk about it. Or a video game, or projects we're doing, or whatever. And it eases the stress, and it lightens the heart just to listen. You don't have to do much. Just sit there, shut up, don't try to make snap comments, and just listen. And I guarantee you do that for other people, and they do that for you, and your relationship will grow by leaps and bounds. Oh, this one. I hate this one. Real men don't cry. I want to go back in time and find the dumbass who said that and slap the shit out of him. That's bull. That is just straight up 100% bullshit. If you follow someone online or social media who says, honestly, real men shouldn't express themselves, or real men shouldn't cry, unfollow them. Because if they're willing to lie to you for that, they're going to lie to you about other stuff. Crying is a natural thing. Scientifically, they say we cry for one of three reasons: pain, heightened emotion, or trying to get something out of our eye. Bit of personal history. My mother died over a decade ago. And there are things that I'll watch that remind me of my mother, and I'll get a little misty-eyed. Or I've had friends and, people who've been dear to my heart. And, a song will come on, and it'll remind me of them. And, the good times we had, and inevitably them passing away. And I'll think about that, and I'll get a little misty-eyed. Or there'll be a sad scene in a movie where, kind of like an Up, where the main character had to bury his wife. Yeah, I cried during that scene because I don't want to bury my wife. I don't even want to think about that. I don't. And so, it tugs at the heartstrings. And there's nothing wrong with crying. It's a natural thing. But really, we need to express ourselves. We need to. The home, especially the relationship with your spouse, should be a place where we can express ourselves, so that we don't have those big eruptions of heightened emotion, so that, stuff doesn't get thrown or broken or hit or whatever the case may be, so we don't feel frustrated to such an extent that we do something we'll regret. Now, there are some men who, like myself, when we reach that point where we know we've kind of crossed that line, we don't want to technically deal, I'll take a step back. Now, mind you, I've told my wife this before. If I'm really pissed off, leave me alone for about 30 minutes to an hour. Don't check on me. Don't even breathe near me. Just leave me alone. Let me deal with it. Otherwise, something will happen. And, going into the next topic, my wife is a natural healer. Most women are. And y'all are great at it. But there are times when we as men need to deal with our emotions before you come in and quote-unquote fix us. Let us deal with it. Let us process it. Turning on a movie or TV show or sports game, lets our consciousness focus on something while our subconscious processes what's happened. Now, back when I worked in the oil field, it took about an hour to get home. So I could drive home pissing mad. I mean, screaming, dog cussing the world. So by the time I got home, most of what had happened during the day, because I had a horrible boss, I was able to process through. So when I got home, there wasn't as much anger. There wasn't as much stress. So when I told my wife what had happened during the day, sharing that kind of stuff, it wasn't as bombastic as it could have been. And for rough and tumble people like me, yeah, we do cuss. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress like everybody else. But again, when I opened up, yes, it kind of surprised my wife the first few times I cussed in front of her. But she realizes I'm not cussing at her. I'm expressing myself the best way I know how. And over time, I cuss less. I use different words. I substitute words. So it's not as brash. And she knows that that's a way for me to express myself so I don't bring that kind of anger and vitriol and stress to our relationship. And it's kind of funny whenever I try to find different words and she kind of chuckles at it. But, women like to fix things. Again, they're natural healers. Y'all are great at that. That's what makes you phenomenal moms. But the older us men get, whenever we hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm going to fix him," to us it indicates we're broken. That something inside us has to be replaced. That's not love. That's not hope for the future. That doesn't help us be better. That tells us we're not good enough. So don't ever use the word fix. Our emotions, our mental state are like our bodies. They heal over time with the right kind of medicine. And emotional issues that men have, especially mental issues, just shut up and listen. Let us express ourselves. Let us verbally talk about these things the best way we know how, so that we can process it, so that we can heal emotionally and mentally, and we'll feel validated the way y'all want to feel validated. And you can grow together as a couple if you just listen. Doesn't mean you have to agree. Doesn't mean you have to go, "Yes, you're absolutely right." No, it just means you just gotta listen. Even if you're playing a game like my wife usually does. But again, it lets me just talk. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. So I want y'all to keep that in mind, that these are 4 of the main reasons why men don't share their feelings. So I hope it helps. I hope it sparks conversations between you and your spouse. And I'll see y'all on the next one.